Hi, I'm Victoria Castle. I'm a master somatic coach. Somatic, what? Soma, from the Greek word of the living self as a whole, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, all the aspects of ourselves in one convenient transportable unit. So to be engaged with somatics is about to be engaged with the way of being, of how I live in myself, how I live in my body. And for most of us, we're so busy working up here trying to get stuff handled that we forget that we have way more resources than we're drawing on. Now, the way to get there is to travel down. Take the elevator down to the ground floor. It seems so uncool for us people who are really hip and we like to move fast and take care of stuff. Honey, if you ain't grounded, you ain't here. So taking the time to come down into the body, to let yourself land, and you do it with your breath. You simply inhale or exhale. I find exhaling is easier as I come to land. And I land in my lower belly, really like, kind of the pelvic floor, if you will. I want to land because you know what? I'll be caught there. I'll be held there. That bone structure is very reliable. It will hold me. So I land in a way that I don't have to be crunched up here. I can let it all come down. And if you feel it like, picture it maybe like an ice cube melting, that it softens into water. It's a different state of being that has other options. And so when we come down, when we take the elevator down, our objective is to experience a greater sense of center, groundedness, or relaxation. Very different from the clench. So do this with me just for a second. Just tighten everything you've got everywhere in your body. The more distorted you are, the better for this purposes. Really get it up. Try to get as high up as you can. And now let go and take the elevator down. Oh, and even notice where you can feel reaction, relaxation, certainly in the breath. I don't have to hold my breath anymore. Oh, perhaps my jaw could be a little more relaxed than it has been. My chest, my gut, my butt, my knees, all the places where we tend to hold and kind of shove ourselves back up. We purposely want to come in and land, and if anything, sort of spread so that our feet really take up space on the earth. So it's almost this kind of energetic shape. I give myself ground to stand on, to be here. I don't have to get all scrunched up and tiny. It doesn't cost anybody anything for me to take a breath and get more grounded and to remember what matters to me. What do you say matters? What do you want to accomplish? What is your for the sake of what? On behalf of what? Why do you do what you do? Why do you engage in whatever you engage in the world? And right now it might be a lot of like really pulling back and not going, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but I want to be safe. Great. How do you do that? By opening up and using your resources remarkably well, rather than just squeezing them all down. So it's a very simple practice. It looks like it shouldn't really take that much time. We shouldn't keep talking about this like it's a done deal. Okay, so I relax more. I breathe in my belly. Okay, great. Let's move on. And the brain boom, 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 races ahead because we don't want to miss anything. Here's the thing about centering. When you're centered, you don't miss anything. In fact, you see a lot more because you have way more capacity to see what's going on around you and behind you and in front of you and above you and below you without having to have an edge on it or be kind of annoyed or angry about it. To just be here. And the reason the camera's only up here is one, because that's the only way I can do it in this room. But two, you wouldn't see a lot different if you were looking at my hips and legs, because it's an energetic system that runs inside the structure and maybe a little bit around, but it isn't overt. So for a moment, take the elevator down until you land, until you can really say, yeah, I've landed. I can feel my feet on the ground, or as close to it as I can feel. I can feel my knees relax a little bit. I can feel my breath open up a little more. I like to think of the energy running this way. So you have this beautiful base underneath that really you can move in many directions, and the base stays the same, stays big and wide and expansive for you. And you can keep relaxing, grounding, centering in any moment, so that when you do get caught off guard, what? With practice, it just takes you a moment to get back. So the question is, what do you say matters? Why bother? Why do this? What difference does it make? And that's for you to decide. Is it worth it to you to include a practice in your day called centering, grounding, relaxing? Is it worth 3 minutes in the morning when you're in the shower, or when you are driving, or when you're opening the front door to whoever is there? Is it worth it to be fully present to whatever shows up? Is it worth it to not be using all of your energy holding tight so that nothing can surprise you? Well, pretty much from here, everything can surprise you. So dropping in and getting relaxed, bouncing your knees is a really great one. Finding the grounding, the base underneath you that you can rest into. And then you have all this marvelous capacity that creates and designs and responds and sees possibilities. And you can be doing that rather than fighting off the discomfort of being in the world. Because I don't think the world is really going to shift how it's behaving very much. I mean, in any way that will accommodate us. So with me, take the elevator down, use your exhale all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. Hopefully relaxing muscles all along the way. Really feeling your feet on the floor, feeling the soles of your feet. You can wiggle in your shoes if you want to. And then imagine that this is coming up in a beautiful line, just stacked one right over the other. So I'm not thrown forward or I'm not thrown back. I am resting into the structure that I am. Our skeletal system is designed to hold us up. We don't have to help it. So I just let it stack properly and it does all the work. What do you say matters? What do you care about? Where do you want to make a contribution? That's the for the sake of what for doing a practice called centering. And how many times a day? 50, 100, 4? When you get up in the morning, when you go to bed, when you brush your teeth, and one other time during the day? Start with something if you don't have one currently, because you'll get all of these distinctions about what centered feels like versus what off-centered or ungrounded or not relaxed feels like. The more relaxed we are, the more centered we are, the more grounded we are, the smarter we get. That in itself makes it worth it. Cheers.